I recently streamed all 14 official campaigns on Expert Realism in one sitting. It wasn't like a speedrun thing, just standard playing, endurance test, and during the 13 hours and 13 resets, we had a lot of fun. There's a lot to take away from it, we'll look at the highlights, but ultimately we're going to take looks at my mistakes which later resulted in the resets. I started the run at 9 AM Eastern on a Saturday, with dead center. First chapter went off without a hitch, except for the fact that I forgot to start my timer.
Oh, the timer's still going. Oh, I stopped. Oh, right, I left it running. Oh, the timer. Oh, I forgot to start the timer. Oh, crap. Oh, the timer. You know, I keep forgetting to stop this timer.
The on-screen timer won't be the most helpful. Second chapter is also great, however, and also where we got our first reset at the Cola event. You see here, it was a public game, but at this point it was still just myself and another human with 2 bots, which still perfectly fine to work with. I made the run inside, threw the Cola up, and then wrapped back around only to find out that the Cola did not in fact move up. I can't tell what happened, but since I threw it straight up, I can imagine that it just came straight down. It's not normal to throw the Cola straight up, so I can't fault my teammate for not catching it. But likewise, when I briefly looked back at it as I wrapped around, my screen actually saw this, but my eyes didn't. I dropped back down to throw it up, but it happened right as my teammate was meleeing, so they ended up just pushing it out of the air. My takeaway is that, first, open my eyes, I saw it on the ground, and second, to just not throw it directly straight up like that, and if I am, I need to make sure that my teammate catches it. This was the first avoidable mistake that caused my first reset of the stream. On our second attempt, we got another human named Bagel Bites who genuinely carried us really hard and took us to the mall. Then as we were doing our running event, we ran into the biggest reminder of why we weren't seeing many humans at this point in time.
Well, we mentioned it.
But no worries, we hopped back in, but Bagel Bites left, and the other teammate Ben was actually AFK letting his dog out. So it was myself and 3 bots. Now, one important wrinkle to consider here is that I started off this marathon with the L4D2 campaigns because they are harder than the L4D1 campaigns on average, and I wanted to get these out of the way first, which, fair enough, but due to it being a Saturday morning and because there are DDoS attacks, I found myself with the bots who are not necessarily good at running events, which the L4D2 campaigns have a lot of. Now, some might say when you started this running event with only bots and had the tank spawn on you, that was just unlucky. Well, maybe, but here's what I believe is my main takeaway here. I eventually got incapped and I had to reset here too. My moves were pretty good. I got the tank on fire and I was able to do a lap around the 3rd floor only to get overwhelmed in the button room. But with a pipe bomb or bile jar, it would have been easier to displace the common infected long enough to get around the tank, and perhaps on my way to the safe house in a speedrun. We'll return to the ultimate lesson here later, but to continue going in chronological order, we then had 2 new humans and got through this part actually. And then we got DDoSed again.
No! No! What the? Oh, brother. This is not happening.
I had previously thought that maybe the DDoSes would kick in maybe once an hour, because that's just how it was the last time I played, but this one was only 17 minutes from the first one, so it was time to switch to some dedicated servers I heard had DDoS protection. We hopped back in, Ben returned from his dog walk and probably had no idea we were DDoS to begin with, but the other 2 humans were gone, so it was just us again. And we were running, and well, we again didn't have any pipes or bile jars. So when a hunter appeared while I was reloading, instead of ducking to the side to try to regroup, it could have made sense to actually Molotov the front entrance to focus attention to those behind us, even keep a better eye on the bots, and then refocus attention back into the button room all at once. But instead, it was scattered, and we just said, well, if only we had a pipe bomb or bile jar. To go back to the other reset with the tank, it was also easy to say, well, we just aren't getting pipe bombs or bile jars in general. But this was actually not true. On this next attempt, we actually took the time to go to different corners of the map to look, and surprise, surprise, we found not 1, but 2 bile jars, and an extra medkit. But we never looked in those areas in the previous playthroughs, so could we even say that the game never gave us those tools? No, because it's very possible that it did and we just didn't find them. So the lesson here was to actually take the time to look around for some items if you're feeling short on them, because they still very well could be there. Anyways, with our double bile jars, we did make it past the run, but then later, there were too many small mistakes because at this point, I was too antsy to just make it through. I thought, we got past the hardest part, now let's just get a move on, neglecting the small things that brought me to the dance to begin with. For instance, I didn't need to try to go into melee range of this charger, that was a free tick of damage. I also didn't need to take this tick of damage either. Or this one. If I had not taken these ticks of damage, then I probably wouldn't have gotten incapped when the smoker flanks me, and I should have had this door closed anyways. Getting through the tank, the witch, and this event should have meant that the head is now entirely clear, but instead I let the destination cloud my view of the journey and we had to reset because of it. But this is where we would finally get past Chapter 3 and onwards to the finale. It opened up with Ben and I just sort of doing our own thing and leaving the bots behind us. As we collected and threw down gas cans, the bots got swarmed on the first floor and got incapped. Our first mistake was to just leave the bots like that. There is no reason why we couldn't peek over our shoulders and shoot infected approaching them, relieving pressure and enabling them to stay closer with us. I made this realization too late and started to jump down in an attempt to save them, right as Ben was getting incapped up top. The bots died on my way down, Ben got spit on while he was down, meaning no one was able to help me when I got smoked. We should have protected the bots, and I also shouldn't have just abandoned Ben in order to save the bots. These are the actions of someone that is overconfident in their ability to just run through a finale, assuming that it's just going to be an easy win every time. We learned from this lesson, and after giving proper care to the bots, we moved as 4, it was a breeze to go through, and we ended up beating dead center. Beating dead center in about an hour and 40 minutes with 5 resets and 2 DDoS attacks was not at all how I intended this marathon to start. It was also not representative of my playthroughs in general, so part of me wondered if this was just a bad omen, but fortunately the rest of the day would go very smooth. We would spend the rest of the day not repeating these mistakes, but also we would see more humans. I know there are a lot of people who have experience playing Expert just single player, and I've done that from time to time, but it is a completely different dynamic to the game, and my experience in this game otherwise is exclusively human-filled lobbies. So more humans, even if they aren't very experienced humans, just makes the game easier for me, but first we had to get 1v4'd by this tank.
I'm down! I could see that one coming. Okay, well this time he's not going to sidestep the Molotov, surely.
It was here that we were joined by Flame, and having 2 human teammates on a stable server meant it was time to get some good progress down on this marathon. Passing Chapter 1 almost repeated itself, but this time I was able to kite the tank after it killed 3 of us, and I was able to just run it home. Chapter 2 we lost Flame to a witch early on, but once we found a defib we ran it all the way back to defib him. And you know, in these situations, it's completely worth it to run a ways back to defib someone on Realism. At most, you're fighting a horde and 3 special infected, and genuinely that's a good trade to bring an extra set of hands back onto your team, especially for a map like passing Chapter 2 where you know there's going to be a running event up ahead. Chapter 3, our gas can run was going insanely smooth. Then on the run for our final 2, it was a situation where everything went south very, very quickly and it was preventable. When things began to go bad, I made a very greedy play. I tried to get good gas cam progress down instead of pulling out my gun and supporting my team. A tip I've mentioned a lot of times before on this channel is that in never-ending horde situations like this, the zombies will literally come in waves, and for some reason I forgot my own advice, tried to make a greedy run, and we all paid for it, giving us reset number 7, when all I had to do was fend off a wave and then we all run together. Then the next attempt was smooth sailing, but then right as we were there...
No! What the heck? No, my game crashed!
But I relaunched and rejoined just in time to hop into the car and drove off into the sunset. This was when I noticed that this was technically the first time that both Ben and Flame had beaten a campaign on Expert Realism, so it was great knowing that we were able to help them get that achievement. Next up was Dark Carnival, and in our first chapter we unfortunately lost Flame on the ledges, so we couldn't go back up to res him. With the 3 of us right at the end, we dealt with the horde and 3 special infected, and for the most part, aside from the jockey hopping on me, I thought I was playing this well. The crucial mistake was there came a point where I had to reload my Desert Eagle, so I pulled out my SMG, finished off the remaining threats, and then reloaded that. It was now just a 1v1 between myself and the smoker, where instead of just using my freshly reloaded SMG, I peeked him while pulling out my empty Desert Eagle. This could have been attributed to me playing without a HUD, which would have clearly displayed 50 SMG shots and 0 Deagle shots, but I also knew that my Deagle was empty, but just flubbed this up anyways for no reason. But even ammo management aside, there's no reason why I couldn't have played this slower. The Charger and Jockey were dead, the commons were mostly gone, I could have baited the smoker into approaching me, which would have resulted in more time to reload my Deagle, but also to make the smoker closer to me and my team for when he does choose to attack. But instead, I got snared, my downed teammates didn't have Desert Eagles, and we were forced to restart. This all might sound like it was a bad time, but genuinely, remember there were 13 resets in total and this was our 8th. From here we got through Chapter 1, then saved our pal Noam Chomsky in Chapter 2, and then we had no problem with the merry-go-round. We had no problems on the roller coaster either, where our teammate Lethal Angel showed us this great gnome throw to free our hands for the run. Before we ran the barns, Lethal Angel got the Fast Pistachio achievement, and then it was off to the races. I did my usual gas can placement under the scaffold, Ben had a bile jar, and it was all well and good. Our concert performance was 10 out of 10, although the tank spawned on the side we had to run to, and that was that. Swamp Fever Chapter 1 was also nice. We had a tank fight where Flame and I kited back while Rochelle used her bile to secure an easy run to the safe house and guarantee Chapter 2 either way. Flame and I killed the tank and it was no problem. Chapter 2 saw my friend Speggy joining us, and then while trying to juggle items into the safe house, this happened.
Reloading!
Fireball is here.
Watch out! I gotta heal. Come on, people, come on, get in here!
No, I just threw the fire bullets out over this fence.
Chapter 3 was also easy work, although I almost griefed us by running forward before the horde ended, and then the double tanks didn't give us any trouble, so that was fun. Next up was hard rain, but unfortunately everyone left, so it was just back to bots for a bit, but it was all okay still. Chapter 1 was no problem. Chapter 2 jump scared us with the tank when we were low on health, so the other 3 got wiped very quickly, and it just made sense to restart, because even if I clutched out this tank battle with no health or Molotov, it's still me versus the world with the entire elevator event to get past. Then on our reset, this happened.
Ah, shit. Okay, Nick. Aw, that is so unlucky, dude.
While technically unlucky, I did technically hear the witch crying in that direction and I took a shot there anyways. I've seen similar things happen all the time to myself and others, so while unlucky, technically wasn't necessary to take that shot, and that was just a reminder of a lesson that I learned in 2009. By the time we got back to the elevator, we had a team of 4 humans, although technically 3 alive humans with poor overall health economy, but we still made it through, and then this happened.
Pipe bomb out.
That's a very far pipe bomb.
Heads up, bile bomb. I'm down. I need somebody's help just for 5 seconds. Could use a hand. Go. Hey, there's gas in the safe room.
I'm out of ammo. I'm out of ammo.
Man, I ain't doing too good.
Butthole fully puckered at this exact frame, but fortunately there was a horseshoe up there and my failure to shove didn't cost us a reset there. Then my friend heckled me in chat while this hunter ragdoll was funny.
You know what, Patches? Just because you said that, I'm not going to. It's gonna be a 10 for the rest of the stream.
Chapter 3 had no issues. Chapter 4 ended up being a Hail Mary when the tank spawned and it played out like this.
Watch out! Heads up!
I should have just thrown that bow before jumping down. I didn't need to rush like that.
That was a bad Hail Mary.
Help! Help! Fight among yourselves! Oh shit, come on, come on, come on.
My man.
Kill the tank! Look out now!
I also should have just taken some shots to protect Nick because he was the real MVP of this Hail Mary, but fortunately it works out and his efforts weren't in vain. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you and sorry to Aligan, and then the finale was easy peasy. The Parish Chapter 1 gave us this crazy RNG where the only way to move forward was to jump down this fence, but then the tank was right around the corner. Fortunately, Rochelle had no problem being the sacrificial lamb to get the tank started, and then we were able to kite him back. I also managed to go through this whole chapter without taking any damage. Chapter 2 was also a chill time without any struggles. Chapter 3, we fought a tank in the alarm car park, and that was just a really crazy fun ride.
I'm ready to Hail Mary this if I need to.
I'll tell you it would be real bad right now. That tank.
This is crazy, dude.
You guys ever seen something like this? It's cool to see new shit. Hey, keep shooting! Keep shooting!
Oh my god,
Man, all these
easy.
alarm cars is like
Chapter 4 saw no issues. Chapter 5 was a contender for one of the unluckiest resets because genuinely I'm not quite sure what the takeaway is. I could have maybe stayed closer to those that were getting revived there.
Oh no, what the? Never mind, I think we're gonna have to reset here.
Then our reset afterwards went very well. No Mercy was then about as normal as it can get. Chapter 1 was a breeze. Speggy decided that Chapter 2 was going too smoothly, so he hit the alarm car. Chapter 3 was a breeze. Chapter 4 was also a breeze. And also just a quick tip that hunters always like to re-peek pretty quickly after taking damage. Then the finale gave us 9 Molotovs and more gas cans on top of that, so you can imagine that it was pretty straightforward. Crash Course Chapter 1 was also very easy. Chapter 2 finale was also insane because what happened was after the first tank and a bit of the second horde, our teammate threw a bile jar and ran out, only for the generator to not reset for some reason. An entire bile jar and Molotov combo later, and the generator finally gave out. We were able to get the generator back on, but this really threw us all off, and we went down because of it. So this time around, we learned to just not bother with the bile jar until the generator is actually out. And we drove off into the sunset for a second time that day. That toll is when I started to yawn and become mentally tired, but thankfully I learned that the muscle memory in this game is so ingrained in me 15 years later that it kind of didn't really matter. Chapters 1, 2, and 3 were all very easy. So easy that Ham didn't take a single tick of damage throughout all of it, and then she ran ahead at the beginning of Chapter 4 and was promptly encapped by a smoker anyways. We were over-prepared for the Chapter 4 event as it usually goes, and the finale was also literally smooth sailing. Dead air was when the textures for my paddle and cars broke for some reason and I couldn't be bothered to restart my game to fix it. Earlier in the day, we had a player named Saints join us for the Parish who later left, but rejoined us for Dead Air, and would be with us for the rest of the day. We were also briefly joined by a player named the Jombie, but he would not reveal to us if a Jombie was a zombie that wears jorts. But no Junter, Joker, Jockey, Jitter, Jank, Jitch, Jarger, or Jumer could stop us, and Dead Air was an easy time on every chapter. We kept the same 4 stack for Blood Harvest and it was a breeze. Now at this point I wouldn't say I was tired, the yawning had stopped, but I was certainly getting delirious and missed seeing things.
Oh, I thought that was an adrenaline shot, but it was a knife. I wouldn't have taken those pills. That's not a Molotov, that's an arm.
And I hit the shot on a boomer. Later we had a tank fight and my mistake was that I was just being way too aggressive, too hungry for the tank gas can. I missed my gas can because I was running while shooting and then we got wiped from this tank. This would however also be our last reset of the stream. Then on our next go I hit this shot and this shot. Then I showed stream my Nick Cage mod.
We got some of these. We got this one right here. That's a funny Pikachu. We got more up here. We got this Nick Cage. We got a lot of these Nick Cage. Whoa. Wait, what? Was that a Moto Lisa Nick Cage on the other side of that? Hold on, I gotta see the other side of this. Like, got this rainbow one. This is normal, regular Nick here.
Then the tank hit this trick shot on Saints. At some point here, we would lose our Jombie and be joined by Zally, who would remain with us for the rest of the playthrough. He had a great Pikachu spray that matched my weird Bulbasaur spray, and then we drove off into the literal sunset. As mentioned before, the core of myself, Zally, and Saints would persist for the rest of the stream. We said farewell to Flame and went onwards with the Sacrifice, Coldstream, and Last Stand. As I mentioned, there were no resets from here on out, just pure, chill, easy peasy Left 4 Dead while being delirious.
Sorry, I saw movement and I flicked to it.
The Sacrifice also apparently had some 100 tick server shenanigans. I learned that you can break the wooden planks but not glass by throwing the gas can into them. And then later Francis did this.
Francis.
Coldstream kicked in and I was as delirious as ever.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. It looks so bad. Bad in a good way though. Oh man, you get some real good ones. Jesus Christ.
Which meant that this part was even more of a strain than it normally is.
Oh, fuck.
But of course, we just kept trekking on. We were as sharp as ever. Coldstream didn't really make us work for it, although the final tank battle was intense and exciting.
I personally would have preferred the Molotov, but we are still out here. We are still very much out here. Uh-oh. I suppose running this way would have to be the play. Oh, Jesus.
Reloading.
Oh, awesome. We got the tank. Easy.
Then finally, it was onwards to Last Stand, where I remembered that they used some assets from the Blood Harvest house. Zally hit this nice shot on a hunter, and during our finale, I had this close call with a rock. But before we knew it, it was off to the ship where we would smooth sail one last time. With the very unreliable in-game timer reading 11 hours and 40 minutes, while the stream recording itself was nearing its 13th hour, so 10 p.m. Eastern. Overall, I had to say that this was a very enjoyable experience. I couldn't have been happier with the third-party DDoS-protected dedicated servers that we were able to use throughout the day, and I'm happy with the random teammates that joined, my friends, as well as the viewers in chat who stopped by to not just chat but to also play games. There wasn't a single griefer, no excessive swearing, nothing completely out of line. It was a great day in my books, and we learned a lot. Someone in chat mentioned that I should do this marathon again, but if I reset once, then I have to restart the whole marathon, and to that I say,
You know what? That is a pretty funny idea. If we get to 100k subscribers, I will do that. And I will have to do this marathon every single week until we do it. I pinky promise. 100k subscribers and I put myself through that torture.
Pinky promise, brothers. So what truly are our takeaways from 14 campaigns in one sitting? Well, to recap, don't throw cola straight up. If your inventory slots aren't filled out, take a look around. Molotovs thrown in front of you can be very beneficial. Don't get into melee range of chargers. Close doors behind you. Protect the bots. Don't just abandon your teammate. Hordes will come in waves, fight, and then run. Don't pull out empty weapons. Don't always have to aggress the special infected. You can just let them come to you. Watch your shots in the sugar mill. Wait for the crash course generator to shut down before actually heading out there. And there's often no rush to lighting a tank on fire, especially with a gas can. So recognize the risks in trying to shoot gas cans while moving. For me personally, I got to see for myself that yes, I am able to pass the endurance test. My reflexes, muscle memory, and game sense are all still there even when I'm delirious. But I think my biggest takeaway has to be playing with Flame. You see, Flame himself had shared with us halfway through the day that he had actually never played on Left 4 Dead above Advanced until today. And you know, there were some times where you could see like just general lacks of knowledge here or there, specifically where the good holdout spots are, but he completely held his own and we were able to still see rescue vehicles with him in our lobby. He was happy to see that his Counter-Strike skills carried over into Left 4 Dead, and that wasn't a big surprise to learn because he was very good at playing off of his teammates. So I'll let Delirious Stream Norm elaborate on part of what makes Left 4 Dead such a great replayable game after all this time.
I mean, not just Counter-Strike skills transfer. Like for me, it's like I played League and it made me better at Left 4 Dead. I played Overwatch, it made me better at Left 4 Dead. Counter-Strike makes you better at Left 4 Dead. Just because of how simple just Left 4 Dead is and how it just rewards so many different types of play styles. Like maybe not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't transfer over. And that's one thing that I've really liked about Left 4 Dead for all these years. Like you can always just kind of change up how you approach it. I had a habit in Left 4 Dead where I'm just like over flicking and like generally I could be a little shaky with my shots, but Counter-Strike helped me just to be a bit more cool-headed, you know, with my trigger. If I'm holding like some angle or something, I don't need to try to flick. Like I can just let them walk into my crosshair instead of trying to literally just like flick to anything and everything. League of Legends taught me the concept of like sometimes you just need to kite back so that you can eventually like push forward. Like there will always be like some point if you're kiting back where like some key pick will happen, or maybe you just killed enough where you just realize, okay, like now I can kind of like turn and burn, you know what I mean? Overwatch helped me with just being extremely spatially aware of like what's going on. There's always something going on, so you know you're always listening to like these different cues and whatnot and thinking about like what move you're going to use and when, depending on like what context you hear. And so that translated into Left 4 Dead very, very well.
When I first started making these videos, specifically the weapon tier list and expert guide video, it was mainly intended as a one-off at the time, but after the map tier list video got a lot of views, I realized that there was something here, and it's been a pleasure investing time into growing this channel with more videos and streams. So I wanted to take this quick moment to say thank you to all of those who view, comment, subscribe, and like. Like all creators, I occasionally get negative comments, either people disagreeing with my takes or just trying to brag about how easy they think the game is, but it's so easy to ignore them. For every negative comment, there's quite literally hundreds of comments from enthusiasts who just enjoy talking about the game and sharing their tidbits of knowledge, and newer players who find my content helpful and give me thanks because it either helps them get into the game or get back into the game, or introduce the game to other people. I know that there can be a bit of a bad rep for Left 4 Dead 2's player base. Let's not kid ourselves that being an older game with no active Valve moderation comes with downsides, and we often have to police each other. But everything around my channel and my playthroughs has been positive and fun. So wanted to say thanks again for all of you guys. Let me know what you'd like to see in the comments. If you liked the video, don't forget to thumb it up as well. And remember, 100k subscribers and we're gonna run this back. Or maybe just 50k subscribers, or 25k, or 10k, or maybe a couple weekends from now, because it was a fun time. Thank you again all, and I'll see you guys in the future with some more Left 4 Dead 2 content.
Oh, that feels so good. I'm in the safe house, we're safe. 13 reset, 5 of those resets were on dead center. Dude, dead center was so rough, and this was still the end result. Bro, I'm so happy with this. Yeah, bro, let me tell you, this is going to be a weird way to phrase this, but don't let any of the videos that I make lead you to believe that I'm like exceptionally good at this game. There are so many really good players in Left 4 Dead, and they all play in their own different way. But other than this video, actually, there's another video that I'm working on. I'm not streaming it at all, but I've been recording myself playing some versus games, actually. I'm going to finally actually play versus and see what all the hype is about, and just make a video of just what I learn and just how different versus is, expectations versus reality, right? So, and man, I'm going to make myself a smoothie.